as it's even Netflix game ahead. And so I want to discuss a little simple thing on why it made sense for Netflix to get involved in gaming, why it was logical, and why we shouldn't be surprised that Netflix has obviously invested a lot of money into making video games. So let's obviously just start with the fact that, well, Netflix is an entertainment company. Like Netflix, obviously started out like people who thought Netflix was a tech company for years. They're not a tech company. They've never were a tech company. Any company can do streaming tech. What people need to realize, Netflix Games was not a tech company. Well, Netflix is not a tech company. Netflix was always a entertainment company. That was always part of their brand. Obviously, TV and film, obviously a huge part of Netflix. But what you'll realize is currently Netflix is obviously making games and that as well. And Netflix does have a lot of stuff that's not film or not TV that they own. They own a cinema. They own the Grauman's Egyptian Theatre. They own a ton of other stuff. They own obviously the Roald Dahl catalog. They own the Millerworld stuff. So Netflix is all about entertainment and all about media. Basically, they're not a news. They're not a news source. They're not. They're not trying to make you sort of. I don't know how to put it. Netflix isn't basically trying to force you to play their games. But Netflix as a whole has always been an entertainment company. Netflix focuses on entertainment, and when it came to streaming video, and we sort of started seeing stuff like Disney Plus and HBO Max and Peacock TV and Hulu and all this other stuff start blowing up, it started to make sense for Netflix to try to do something that made them stand out. A Netflix games is a huge thing that stands out for many people. Because now Netflix isn't just a film and TV service. Netflix is their whole entertainment package. You know, People don't realize that there are hundreds of games on the market. Well, I say hundreds. There's hundreds of thousands of games on the market. Netflix Games offers a very small collection of games that people need to realize it could potentially, and I'll be honest, potentially be game changers. Like Netflix Games is a game changer for Netflix because obviously now they're more competitive in the entertainment space. Because obviously, as you don't know, there are many different game subscription services, and there's also so many film and TV subscription services. And Netflix is trying to do both, but Netflix is sort of complement each other. You know, you have Netflix Games, which obviously complements Netflix's main service. And you have Netflix, Netflix's main service complements the games, and the games complement the main service. But to me, personally, I don't think Netflix Games is in a bad position. But what I do got to admit is I do think Netflix Games could have done more. Obviously, currently, right now, what you'll realise is, as an entertainment service, Netflix is basically the king of the offerings. Because if you don't know, Netflix offers quite a lot for its price. For its price, guys, you can obviously get tons of different movies, tons of different uh, games, tons of different TV shows. The only thing it's missing at the minute is books, and obviously Netflix needed to diversify its content merely because of how successful some of its competitors had started to become. Things like Disney Plus and whatnot started to take off literally as they launched. As soon as it launched, people were talking about it, and Netflix obviously didn't really have much to really do to rival them. So Netflix's response was to sort of play it cool. They didn't really try to fight them. But now, obviously, everyone else has a service, and it's them versus Netflix. Netflix kind of just needed to diversify, just for the sake of diversity. Because basically, for those who don't know, when the market leader of a company of an industry is threatened by another player, and this player obviously has more money to their name, has more businesses that allow them to grow. It kind of comes down to whether or not Netflix is strong. In this situation, Netflix is obviously shown to be quite resilient, quite strong, but Netflix didn't really start like that. Netflix needed to diversify its revenue quite quickly. Well, not revenue, but like they had to diversify and show that they could offer more than just TV and film. Because there's been running jokes about how bad a lot of stuff on Netflix is, And that's true. A lot of networks have a lot of bad content. That's just kind of how it is when you're creating content at such a mass scale. And this goes to every major entertainment company in general. When you create content at such a large scale, you're going to have several things just not be that good. And not everything's going to be Stranger Things. Not everything's going to be The Crown. Not everything's going to be a major hit, great show, great movie. 10 out of 10 we'll watch again. It all just comes down to like what a company can do. And obviously with Netflix Games is basically just more content for the consumer. Like Netflix Games is literally designed to be a service that allows you to play games as part of your Netflix subscription, and it just offers you more value for your money. That's literally what Netflix Games is. Netflix Games is obviously designed to keep you engaged with Netflix, but it's also offering you a lot more value. Because whilst it doesn't offer you like AAA games like FIFA or whatever, it does offer you some games, some variety of stuff to enjoy. While you're not watching, when you finish a Stranger Things game, or not Stranger Things, but like when you finish a Stranger Things binge, or whatever, you can then sit down and enjoy the game. It gives you more reason to stay subscribed whilst you obviously wait for the next season. It's just kind of designed to sort of be good for consumers. Because now it's just sort of like, well, if you keep paying for Netflix, you obviously get a lot more content now. Now, one thing I want to see Netflix do is obviously they want to release a book service with Roald Dahl and Millarworld books and Millarworld comics on one subscription. I think that would be a really great thing to do. I personally love it, but we don't know if Netflix would ever do that. It all comes down to what Netflix's brass at the top does. But personally, I think Netflix is obviously in a good position, and Netflix Games was just basically a strategy to offer consumers more content and more of a reason to keep paying for Netflix. And I think a lot of people will continue to pay for Netflix now because of the games. A lot of people will continue to pay for Netflix because of the variety of stuff it now offers. Netflix is obviously losing a lot of third-party content thanks to like Warner Brothers and Disney and all those other ones making their own services. But I also do feel that Netflix is in a stronger position than ever because of how loyal their customers are, how loyal their brand loyalty and all that sort of stuff. It's just kind of made it clear that Netflix Games was just part of the plan. It's just part of the addition to make people want to keep paying for Netflix and make them feel, appreciated. If you make a customer feel like, they're getting good value for their money, they will continue to come back. They will continue to pay. That's just how Netflix has functioned for years. That's how every business functions. Customers are always right and all that sort of stuff. So to Netflix Games was just part of the plan, and it wasn't that much of a leap anyway because Netflix has already done interactive movies and specials. So Netflix doing like video games was nothing really new when you think about it. Netflix had also already adapted several high-profile video games into TV and movies, such as Tekken, Resident Evil. They've done Castlevania. They've done all sorts. They've done quite a few notable gaming IPs, adapting them into TV shows and movies. They've also done, obviously, they've got an upcoming Sonic TV show called Sonic Prime. There's just quite a lot of stuff they've done, and personally, that's just how I figured they planned it. They planned it to sort of just be like Netflix is obviously just an addition to your already existing content. If you don't want to play the games, you don't have to play the games, but it's an option that's there if you want to try something new. And that's what I like about it. Like Netflix hasn't forced it down your throat. They've not made you say, "Hey, you have to play the games." They've just gone, "Okay, look, this is part of your subscription now. It's an option. It's an optional bit of content if you're interested." And that's what they did. And a lot of people did seem to show a little bit of interest. And Netflix Games, obviously, it's not massive. It's not, extremely. It's not as popular as it should be at this point. I kind of wished it was more popular, but it'll get there over time. But we've seen Netflix just sort of come out and sort of show themselves that like, they're not a streaming company anymore. They're an entertainment company. Their whole business model is entertainment. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. What's your thoughts about this? Do you think Netflix Games is good? Do you think it's not good? Do you think Netflix Games just adds value to Netflix subscription? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Netflix Games was a stretch for Netflix? I don't think so, but anyway, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like video, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.